Over the past 7 years of Constantium's lifespan, there have been many spawn bases that have been built on the server. Today we are going to take a look at 3 very well-known spawn bases that have been griefed more than once, and I will tell you all about their history whilst also showing you today's condition of these 3 spawn bases. So without further ado, let's get started. The Slums. Being founded all the way back around June or July 8th of 2016, it is perhaps one of the most famous spawn bases on Constantiam up until this day. It was founded by a Constantiam old player called Assassin9116. Assassin9116 decided to build the slums directly at today's diagonal highway, located at the coordinates x5000, z5000. Due to its location, the base would frequently receive a lot of players who either came in peace or with the intention to grieve. In the early days of the slums, there were wheat fields built directly next to the main structure. However, not long after they would cease to exist as new players took advantage of the planted wheat, which basically helped them to get out of spawn. Later down the server's troubled history, the slums would have become the target of many griefers who would bombard it non-stop. However, there would always be a select few who would rebuild the slums back to its former glory. Aside of being a target of many griefers, it also became a hotspot for traders, and it became incorporated into the Southeastern Railway, which cut straight through it. However, after non-stop exposure to many players who have stumbled upon the server, it is bound to happen that the slums after 7 years would fall into somewhat of disrepair. Or would they? This is what the slums look like today. Whilst the slums have been lava casted sometime around 2021, a player by the name of Bronson Hardcase repaired the landmark not long ago. A lot of the original wheat fields have been restored, and there were even new additions to the base, such as the sea life or the nice little garden at the very top of the structure. Also right next towards it sits the replica versions of the original slums, which are in a terrible shape compared to the original structure that was built all the way back in 2016. After we discovered that the slums had been fully repaired, we even had a little boat party around them.
I'm getting kidnapped!
But let's now move on over to the next spawn base. Constantinople. Constantinople was a spawn base formed by a server-wide event called Unity 2. The story of the spawn base begins on the 11th of May 2018, when FitMC mentioned Constantiam in his video "The Day 2B2T Almost Died." It is now when a player by the name of MCG called up for Unity 2. Unity 2 had some objectives, such as keep the lava wall in shape, destroy all farms and portals close to spawn, kill all new players on site, and many more. One of these objectives was to build Constantinople. A location for Constantinople would be chosen, and it would be set at the coordinates of x 1500, z negative 1500. The members of Unity would come here to build and defend, and Sir Leonidas would supply the group with materials intended for the spawn base. To make the spawn base stand out from others, a big build was to be chosen to be a part of the project. At first, the members thought of making a giant replica of the Wrath outpost from 2B2T, but then decided against it, and a cathedral was chosen instead as the main structure. The people who would do the most work at Constantinople were Dot5, one of the most fierce PvPers, Fudge, Lags, and Crazy Eyes Kill, who is responsible for the creation of many of the Constantium spike lava casts. Over the years, the base would be griefed more and more. Take a look at what Constantinople looks like today. Not only is it completely blown up to smithereens, but the entire cathedral has been encased in a giant lava cast. And when looking below the base, well, there is a giant crater that has been withered out over the years. Due to Constantinople being basically inside of spawn at this point, I can imagine that the damage will only get worse before it gets better. But now the last base on the list, which also happens to be the first ever proper base on Constantiam. 400 base. 400 base was founded all the way back on the 24th of April 2016. The base was the first ever proper base on Constantiam. 400 base was originally started after the mass exodus from 2B2T in 2016, after James Russell and a few of his basemates from La Rosa joined Constantiam for the first time. The original 400 base member crew consisted of James Russell's, MRX, Spartan 512, Uber Slugcake, Victor 96, and Ormoka. The base was given its name by MRX and Sharpie, and it quickly started to take shape. Structures such as the castle built by Uber Slugcake and Sharpie's tower started being constructed not long after. A couple of new players would join the server around this time too, some of which would attempt to grieve 400 base, but their group's luck, the base wouldn't receive much damage. May 2nd, 2016. The original group, alongside with some other players who had joined them at 400 base, would abandon the base. They would create the biggest base on the server that has ever been seen, nicknamed Horizon. After this, 400 base would fall into disrepair. From time to time, James would still repair Uber's famous castle, but it would be destroyed not long after. But after 7 years of the server running non-stop and over 100,000 players joining the server at least once, it is only natural that the base would be grieved into non-recognition. This is what 400 base looks like today. Not only is it completely covered in a giant lava cast, but the entire ground below the base is completely gone, with only the end portal remaining. The base basically became one with Spawn, with only Uber Slugcake's castle and Sharpie's tower remaining, but taking serious damage. But this would be all for today's video, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. I will have a new video coming up hopefully soon about the recent events which have started on Constantiam, but we will see how that situation escalates. Anyways, this will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.